Hello and welcome to Live, Laugh, Lore, your newest spooky podcast where we dive into your favorite spooky tales.
And happy Halloween.
And happy Halloween.
The best day of
Emily,
the year.
What are you dressed as today?
Well, I'm dressed as a very messy vampire today.
I don't think there's no such thing as a clean vampire.
No, I mean, when you've lived this long, you don't really care.
That's true. You just kind of give up. The art of detachment. I'm a scarecrow.
Beautiful. Sorry, I didn't ask you because I thought it was very obvious.
No, it's okay. There is something on the other side, but I don't know what that is. I think it's a beer. I'm not sure.
It's fine. Scarecrows can like beer.
You think?
Yeah.
They don't have brains, so can they get drunk?
I don't know.
Can they? I don't know.
I don't really know.
The Scarecrow was my favorite character in The Wizard of Oz. I mean, next to Dorothy, but I had a crush on the Scarecrow.
Scarecrow was great. Yeah. He was a goofy guy. Mm-hmm. I liked the lion, which I think, I don't know. I don't like cowards in real life, but I do love the lion.
Oh, okay.
Maybe because I feel like I could just make him do whatever I wanted. I think that's probably what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do believe in spooks. I do believe in spooks.
He's so cute. How could you not just want to take care of him?
Hold his paw. Scarecrow was cute.
He was cute. He was very cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tin Man's getting no love right now, but that's okay. He'll be all right.
He doesn't have a heart.
He doesn't have a heart. It's okay.
It's fine.
Oh, no.
Since it's Halloween, why don't you tell me what your favorite thing about Halloween is or why you love Halloween?
Why I love Halloween. I've always loved Halloween. I love horror. I love spooky things. Love dressing up as something different and just being a woman of mystery and intrigue. But lately, over the past, I don't know, probably like 5 years, I've loved Halloween because I throw an annual Halloween party. It has a different theme every time, and they keep getting more and more elaborate. This year's Halloween party, which when this comes out, will have already happened. And so hopefully it was a smashing success. This year, it is conspiracy theory themed. And so all of the invitees are essentially being initiated into the secret society of Hallows Eve. It's an underground secret organization. There'll be a scavenger hunt and a Guess Who game and some shot roulette game. It's going to be really fun. Very excited. Got a bartender this year. It's going to be great.
That's so cool. And I will be there.
What is your favorite thing about Halloween?
I just love spooky things. Always loved it. Not a big fan of gore, but thriller. Like Silence of the Lambs' favorite movie.
Great movie.
But I just always loved it. I love dark things. And getting a chance to dress up is like just, I think, what I was made for. Like, I feel like I'm just a theater kid at heart.
Yeah.
And like any opportunity I have to like be creative and put on a costume and just go all out.
Honestly, that's what it comes down to. It's the most creative holiday. You can do anything with it. There are so many different avenues you can go down. Like if you don't like horror movies, that's fine. There are so many cute Halloween themes and activities that you can do.
I know so many people that don't like Halloween.
I don't get it.
I think it's the least stressful.
Yeah.
Because like other ones are always very stressful because there's so many people coming to your house and you're cooking and your mom's like, we're not going to make it. You always do. Halloween, and it's like.
I feel like other holidays are much more rigid too, as far as like.
They are.
What you can expect and what's expected of you and yada, yada.
Exactly.
I love Christmas. I love other holidays, but Halloween's the best one.
Yeah.
So speaking of Halloween movies, what are your favorite Halloween movies?
I mean, probably Silence of the Lambs. I need to rewatch it. Halloween movies? I don't know.
Like what movies do you want to watch when it is October
Coraline.
in fall?
Coraline.
Coraline, yeah.
I feel like you were waiting for me to say that.
I was.
You're like, what is your
There's an obvious one.
Coraline and Corpse Bride are my two favorites. And
great choices.
Love both of those.
This is the season of Tim Burton, I think.
What about yours?
Yeah. For a cozy movie, I like Practical Magic.
Yeah.
Love Practical Magic. All-time favorite movie, doesn't matter the time of year, is Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Love that movie so much.
Do you think that's a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
It's a Halloween movie, I think. The vibe is more Halloween. I don't know.
Is Harry Potter Halloween or Christmas?
Halloween.
Halloween. Same. I say that.
Yep. I just watched a bunch of Harry Potter movies.
Oh,
also,
really?
R.I.P. Maggie Smith.
I know.
Yeah. Her, Hagrid, Snape, and Dumbledore were all together.
I know.
Yeah.
And Dobby.
So, yeah, and Dobby. And Hedwig.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I cried when Hedwig died.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah. It was rough. One of the early traumas.
It really was.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of the Harry Potter movies right at like the day after she died.
Yeah, I should do that. I'm trying to get through Grey's Anatomy right now, but I stop when Christina leaves because right.
What's the point? Are they still going? Are they still making new ones?
Mm-hmm. I thought they were done, but they're still going, and I feel like it's so soapy now.
I mean, it was always soapy, but
in a different way.
But it was still good. Yeah. You can only go so long before you start just repeating the same plot over and over again.
I'm waiting for them to get in the plane crash or whatever. And then that's like when I stop, kind of.
I think I've only seen up to the shooting, which is right at the beginning.
That's like season 6, I think. I saw season 8.
Okay. I thought that was much sooner.
Yeah.
It's just gone on for so long.
What are you drinking in your cauldron today?
I'm drinking wine.
Oh, love
Blood.
it. What?
No.
Like 12:30 there?
It's 12:30. Yeah, but I'm performing.
You're performing. So I'm drinking a poppy in a wine glass.
Beautiful.
For my
digestive system. Love that. So anyways, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk, since it is Halloween, we're talking about different origins of Halloween in different countries. And so we were trying to decide how to choose. And we both said, okay, what is your heritage? We're both Irish. So we couldn't both do Irish. And then she was like, what else are you? And I was like, I don't know. So I'm doing Celtic, Irish, Halloween, which it turns out is the origins of Halloween.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing...
I'm doing the Norwegian versions, which
Norwegian.
The Scandinavian people did not necessarily have Halloween until they invaded Ireland and kind of took over a lot of things. But they did bring with them their own spooky traditions surrounding the autumn time of year. I'll be talking about some of the Nordic influences that show up now in modern day Halloween.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's jump in. Okay. So I would just like to preface this and say, if I mispronounce anything, I'm so sorry, because Gaelic is hard. Honestly, any language is probably hard, but I just feel like
it's gonna be bad, guys.
I always it's always different than it's spelled. Okay, so Irish Halloween is called Samhain, spelled Samhain. Pronounced Samhain. It was a pagan religious festival that originated from an ancient Celtic spiritual tradition. It's celebrated from sunset. Well, okay, I found multiple things on this to how long it's celebrated, but typically it's from sunset of October 31st to November 1st. But some people say it was celebrated 3 days, 3 nights, 6 days, 6 nights. It varied. It marks the midpoint between the fall equinox and the winter solstice. It's celebrated to welcome in the harvest and ushers in the dark half of the year. It's kind of seen as their new year. Again, end of summer and harvest season to the beginning of winter, and they associated winter with death, obviously, because you can't grow anything, So people who celebrated it believed that the barriers between the physical world and the spirit world would break down. The veil would get really thin, and it would allow more interactions between humans and those living in the spirit world. So I couldn't find like when the first one was celebrated. This is the itchiest hat I've ever worn. Like actually, I think
Take
it's
it
my
off if
bangs.
you need to.
No, because my bangs are bad.
Oh, okay.
I just gotta move my bangs. Got it. Okay.
Bang life.
So the first traditions, this was like before the Middle Ages. This was a long, long time ago. So I don't even know what those times were called. But what they would do is they would light their fireplace or their like hearths, and they would leave them to burn out while the harvest was gathered. And so after the harvest was complete, the celebrants joined the druid priests to light a fire using a wheel that would like spark flames caused by friction. And the wheel was considered to be like a representation of the sun and was a tool that was used for prayer. They did sacrifices with their cattle. Sacrifices, like I just don't like. Why was that such a big deal?
I don't know. They did it in Scandinavia as well.
In every story I think we've done so far, we've talked about sacrifices.
Yeah, I don't know. There was nothing else to do, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe I would know if I had a brain. I don't know. That was what I had to say to get myself just from like not starting to sing, because I looked at myself and I was like, I'm a scarecrow, and then I'm like, it's my only. Okay, so ADHD is in full swing. So in early Texas says that it was a mandatory celebration that lasted 3 days, 3 nights, in which the whole community was required to attend. If you didn't, they said that you would get punished by the gods by either illness or death. But they wouldn't kill you, but they said the gods got angry and would kill you. There was also a military aspect of the celebration. Holiday thrones were prepared for the commanders and the soldiers, but during the celebration, committing crimes or using weapons were forbidden. So if you did commit any crimes or use any of your weapons, you were sentenced to death.
So were committing crimes allowed before the celebration?
I guess. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know if
Like
you'd
the
be like
opposite.
killed. You
Oh.
might not be killed. You might just be like thrown in jail or something.
Oh, okay. The stakes are higher.
The stakes are higher. It is verboten.
That makes sense.
And they also had altars that they used. So skulls and skeletons were placed on there to represent like the spirits of the dead. And then photos of deceased family members were also added. And then in the Middle Ages, it progressed and it kind of changed a little bit. So the bonfires were more personal fires and closer to the farms, and it became a tradition. And they like felt like it would protect them from the fairies and the witches. So rather than the community having one big fire, they all had the one smaller fire. And so they began carving turnips, and then they would attach them to sticks with strings. Later in the 19th century, they switched over to pumpkins, and that's how we got jack-o'-lanterns. But I will tell you, these turnip things are quite creepy looking.
I mean, imagining what a turnip looks like, I feel like it would look like a shrunken head or something.
It looks like a shrunken head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which that would keep me away.
You know, honestly, if I was a better podcaster, I would have carved one, but I didn't have time.
Is that a requirement to podcast?
Yeah, I like bring props.
Bring props? Oh, well, we're already failing.
I have a hat. So this kind of spread through Ireland and England and Wales and everything. And so the tradition started to kind of take shape. There was also something called Dumb Supper that began. It was a tradition where they would have dinner and they would not speak the entire supper. And it was to invite the ancestors to join and gives the families a chance to interact with the spirits until after they left dinner.
Okay, if I was an ancestor and I was like, I'm so excited to go and see my family, and then they were just sitting around a table staring at each other, not talking, I'd be like, I want none of this. This is not inviting at
I'd be like,
all.
what's going on? Like, say something. Yeah, no, I don't know if I would
What's
like
happening?
that. But it was like, I guess, to provide space.
Well, that's nice. That is nice.
Yeah.
I do like to be the center of attention, so I guess that would be fine with me.
Same. There are like some fun monsters and creatures that are associated with it. So because the veil was thin, or what they believed, they would prepare offerings that were left outside. And they thought that ancestors would cross over. And so they would dress as animals and monsters so that the fairies wouldn't kidnap them because they thought the fairies were also afoot. The fairies were afoot. So there was a creature that is highly associated with Samhain called the Puka. So it was a shape-shifting fairy that could bring good or bad fortune. They took the form of goats, cows, horses, rabbits, cats, dogs, and even people, but they could tell when it was a person because usually they had at least one feature left of an animal. So they could have been like a horse or like a human, but then they had like a horse nose. That's what I imagined. I was like, yeah, that gives you away a little bit.
Like the like halfway through the Animorphs.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? The girl's just got like a rat head.
He like turns into an hard part. Or the guy that turns into
There's something off about this guy.
So they had so the Puka would essentially take your kids and the children would never return.
What is it with all these monsters taking kids? Like that's just too common
I
of
you were about
a
to say
theme.
something. I was like anticipating you to say something.
I mean, I don't understand why there's so many in like every culture there's at least one monster that wants to take your kids. It's like why?
That's probably how they like kept the children inside.
I guess that's true.
I don't know if they cared about that at the time. So because they were afraid of these guys, they started leaving their crops for them to appease the Puka. And essentially what would happen is after they harvested everything, they left the bad crops or the crops they didn't want. They left them out for the Puka to take kind of as like an offering. But then some farmers started to take it a step further and would actually leave more crops out to appease them so that they wouldn't, cause any harm to them. Which is kind of like trick-or-treating.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So we got costumes and we got trick-or-treating and we got jack-o'-lanterns.
I love it.
Apparently, I read that they left the crops out and everything, but eventually it turned into like gatherings so that they would trade food and stuff. Which trick-or-treating.
Okay.
Yeah. Another creature or person is Lady Gwyn. She is a woman who appeared in all white, and she was sometimes headless.
Oh.
Sometimes. Not all the time. And she was very evil and vindictive. So she would pretend to be a lost soul, and she would lure you away. She would chase anyone that was found wandering in the night. And she also had a black pig that didn't have a tail.
So she's a woman with hobbies.
Yeah. She has one hobby. Just chasing people.
I mean, that's enough.
Yeah. But I think that's like a different version of La Llorona. And like there was other versions of this woman, like Lilith, and then just different kind of like lady in white in different cultures.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard about the woman in white. I've never heard of a woman in white who is headless though.
Me either.
That's very interesting.
But yeah.
Is there any history on like how she died or
Nothing.
anything?
There was like
why is
very
she so
little.
angry?
There's very little.
Keep
I
your
tried to find
secrets,
more.
Lady Gwen.
But speaking of headless, there is also the Doulahan that comes out during Halloween, which we talked about in episode
I've
1.
heard of him.
We've heard of him. And he uses his spine like a whip.
Which is metal.
Okay, go on. I wish I could.
I mean, I don't. I like my spine where it's at, but
I don't. Mine's
feels
all
like a
crooked
mess.
and I'm missing one and I'm missing a whole bone back there.
That's
So
okay.
if I could just rip that thing out and just wring it like a towel, I would be so
Yeah.
without doing any like major harm to myself.
Right. And if I was able to put it back, like fairly easily, like a sheath, if you will, spine sheath.
Yeah. So there's also this guy named Stingy Jack, which I really liked this story. I thought it was really fun. Actually, I can't tell if it's Stingy Jack or Stingy Jack, but according to the story, I think it's Stingy.
That makes sense.
That's
that
why
makes
it would
sense.
be Stingy. I think Stingy is EY. I don't know, actually. I don't think Stingy is a word. No,
I don't think so either. I think you're right. And plus, I just like Stingy Jack better. So
Stingy Jack. Okay. So Jack lived in an ancient Irish town, and everyone knew him as this like manipulating drunkard, and he apparently had a silver tongue.
So like Frank Gallagher.
Yeah.
From Shameless.
Oh my gosh, he is Frank Gallagher. Yes, that's the perfect.
Okay.
Yes. So he's always getting himself into some shit. So Satan apparently overheard all the stories about Jack and was like, I gotta come check this guy out for myself because there's no way. So one evening, the devil found Jack drunk, alone, on a winding road. And once Jack realized it was Satan, he asked if he could just get a couple drinks before going to hell. He was like, let's, get a few drinks.
Get some for the road.
So the devil said okay and took him to a pub, apparently, as you do with the devil. And once they were done, he asked Satan to pay the bill, but you can just pay the bill if you changed into a silver coin. And the devil was like, the gall on this guy.
The gall.
The gall. The audacity of this man to ask the devil to pay for his beer. The devil said yes, and he changed himself into a silver coin. And so when Jack went to pay, he grabbed the silver coin and just put it in his pocket that apparently had a crucifix in there. So the devil was now stuck as a silver coin. Very Frank Gallagher.
Why are there so many stories of the devil getting so bamboozled?
Yeah,
like all of the time.
He could, like these people are bad people. Like you should be a little bit more suspicious.
Right. Like, are you willingly putting yourself in these situations just to feel something? Like what?
Maybe he's bored. Maybe he's bored.
I mean, he's been there for a long time. So I get it. Maybe he's like, I'm going to go and play a fiddle for a while and
turn into
maybe I'll lose. It's fine. Or maybe I'll go and I'll drink with someone and I'll turn into. Maybe he doesn't have any drinking buddies in hell. So that's the real reason why he came up.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. He gets worse. He gets stupider. More stupid.
Oh, no.
Stupider. Stupid. Making up words over here. So the devil was like, let me out of your damn pocket, dude. And Jack was like, only if you spare me for 10 years. I'm not going to hell for 10 years. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. And the devil was like, okay, fine. Whatever. Just take me out of your pocket. So Jack gets spared for 10 years. 10 years goes by and Satan finds him again in the same spot. And Jack was like, okay, I'm going to accept my fate. I'm going to go. But before we go, I want an apple. And Satan's like, sure, what could go wrong? So he climbs a tree and gets him an apple. And Jack puts crucifixes around the tree. And so the devil's stuck in the tree. So once again, he's bamboozled. The devil sounds like he's not smart, but actually that kind of tracks because in Greek mythology, Hades is described as a really boring guy.
Well, and also he kind of sounds sweet in a way. He's trying, he's like, okay, fine. Yes, I'll give you an apple. Yes, I'll pay the tab. That's fine.
Like,
yeah. Makes sense. I'm dragging you to hell. Let me give you one last,
Yeah, I think he's seen as just like
some
this
mercy.
kind of, like in mythology, this unremarkable dude that doesn't really have anything going for him.
And doesn't really want to be doing what he's doing anyways.
He was sent to hell and he was like, this sucks.
This is the worst.
This is the worst. So, in order to release him, Jack demanded that Satan would never have to take his soul, and having no choice, the devil agreed. So, eventually, years go by, and all that drinking kind of takes a toll on Jack's body, and he dies, as one can expect. And also, how old do we think this Jack is in the start? Because they didn't live very
35.
long during that time. In the start, during ancient.
No.
He was probably 10.
When he died, he was 35. Yeah. He was a drunkard at 10.
Probably, I don't know. He was manipulative and outsmarted the devil. Well, okay, let's do the math. Let's say 10 years. He could have been 20. Okay, maybe it was 15. I don't know. He was 15 or 20.
Let's say he was 20. He was 20. Then 10 years later, he was an old man at 30.
Still pretty smart for a 20-year-old. I would not have been that smart. I was getting manipulated. I was not manipulating.
I don't know. I've always been very manipulative, so
I don't feel like I'm manipulative enough.
My mom used to get complaints from multiple teachers that I was sneaky and manipulative as a child.
Yeah, I think my problem is that I just can't shut up. So there's no way I could possibly be manipulative because I'm going to reveal myself. So once Jack died, he went to heaven and they prepared the gates to open. And then God was like, no, actually, you're a horrible person. You cannot come in here.
He's tricked the devil twice. He has earned his keep.
I think God might be a little bit smarter than the devil. I'm going to be honest.
He did it to avoid going to hell. What was the point of all of this then?
Yeah. Just you wait.
Okay. I'm annoyed. Stingy Jack has worked hard.
He has worked hard. So he went down to hell and he actually ended up begging the devil. He's like, please let me in because now I'm in purgatory. And the devil was like, no, this is our agreement. I'm going to hold up the end of my bargain. So what he did was he gave Jack an ember to light his way. And now Jack is doomed to roam the world between the planes of good and evil with only an ember inside a hollowed turnip to light his way.
Is this one of those stories that's supposed to have a lesson or something?
No, it's just
don't be a drunkard, don't be manipulative, or else you'll only have an ember.
No, it was
because I'm learning nothing.
You missed the ending. You missed the ending.
Sorry. I'm listening. Sorry. I'm pissed off for Jack, and I'm not listening anymore.
He held the ember inside a hollowed turnip.
Cute. That is cute. That doesn't change the ending.
He's the jack-o'-lantern. He's jack-o'-lantern.
Oh my God, it's Stingy Jack. And he's the jack.
Good God. Was I not clear?
No, but my point is still true. The whole thing is that he's doomed in some way, and that's stupid. He should be rewarded for his trickery.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
I think that's stupid.
It would be cool if he was headless.
That would really tie a nice, neat bow.
And the pumpkin was his head. Just carried.
And the pumpkin was his head. The turnip. Oh my God. Okay. Well, thank you for guiding me through that because
You're welcome.
Really needed the guidance.
So that's So that is
Me too.
Samhain. And it is still celebrated today. It became much more popular in the 80s in its traditional pagan form because the Wiccan religion became more popular in the 80s. So they started to celebrate it. And I guess there's 8 Wiccan holidays. Samhain is the first one before Yule. So it kind of represents the darkness for them before the light, because Yule is December 21st, which is the winter solstice. And so that's when the days start getting longer again. So it's kind of like a period of reflection for them to look back on the year since it's their new year. And yeah.
Cool. Okay. Okay. So, like Caroline said earlier, when we were deciding what to talk about, and we were talking about our own origins, I guess, we are both very Irish, you could probably tell. And
you look more Irish
so
than I do.
It's the red hair and the pasty white skin. So I am 90%. I did one of those like 23andMe things, and I am 90% Irish and 10% Norwegian. So I decided
done one,
I'm
but
going to.
I would like to.
You should do it. It's very interesting. I'm finding out a lot about myself. I also found out that I have an abnormal amount of Neanderthal DNA.
You look like you
which
do.
is interesting. Thank you. Thank you.
Just kidding. You
I know I
actually
do.
don't at all. You don't at all.
Oh my God. It makes sense though. I get it. But yeah, it'll predict your traits and tell you like you're more likely to be afraid of heights. It also said that I'm more likely to like the taste of cilantro, which is true. I do like cilantro. So it has fun little stuff like that too, which I thought was cute.
I'm so glad you don't have
the
poopy gene.
I know. I am glad to. Yeah, there's really not any food that I dislike other than beets. I hate beets. But
I like beets. I really do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do taste like dirt, though.
They do. They taste like dirt, but not in a good way, if that makes sense. It's not like an earthy taste and like
earthy.
This is great. It's like I'm eating dirt. I also think I have some family trauma surrounding beets that I should probably address at some point. But yeah, my grandparents on my dad's side thought that it would be hilarious to tell me that if I didn't eat my beets, which for some reason in every family dinner, there were beets. We were a big beet family, and I don't really understand why. Yeah, it was like
boiled broccoli.
I don't.
And I'm like,
yes.
Of course I didn't eat the boiled broccoli. That's disgusting. There's no salt or anything on it.
So much better ways to eat it. But yeah, pickled beets and just raw beets is what we would eat all the time.
No.
And I hated them, obviously. And I was like 5. But my dad's dad, he loved to lean over and say, well, if you don't eat your beets, your legs are going to fall off. If you don't eat your beets, your ears are going to fall off. So what did I do? I ate my beets and I hated every second of it.
Yeah.
And then I called out my mom for her hypocrisy because she did not eat all of her beets. Her legs were fine. And I was like, this conspiracy goes all the way to the top, and I'm not eating any more beets. I'll never eat another beet again.
If you drink coffee, it'll grow hair on your chest. And I believed it for a long time.
What was wrong with coffee?
I don't know. I'm from a Southern family. I don't think anyone in my family even drinks coffee. I mean, my mom drinks decaf now, but I've never seen any of my mom's family drink coffee.
Really?
Like I've never seen them drink alcohol. I've never seen them drink coffee. I don't know.
Anyways, so back to what I was saying. So like I said before, Halloween is not a traditional Scandinavian holiday, but there is a rich tapestry of history that connects the Vikings to the roots of what a rich tapestry that connects the Vikings to the roots of our Halloween as we know today. So rewinding the clock to the 9th century, if you will, come with me on this journey.
That's far away.
It's very far away, yes, but try to make it. So the Vikings are invading Britain armed not just with swords and shield, but also with their own pagan traditions.
Mhm.
And one of these traditions was called Álfablót, or elven sacrifice. And this ritual, it marked the onset of the darker half of the year. So very similar to the Celtic traditions. And so the ritual was not just about the changing seasons, though. It was also a way to honor the elves, or Alfar, which I might be mispronouncing that.
Mhm.
Those are essentially, the elves are these revered, like godly beings for the Norwegian people.
Kind of like the
They're
fairies
magic,
in Ireland.
um,
Maybe.
kind of, but they are
Mm.
related to ancestors and fertility. So they're like family, but not at the same time. So they did believe that some of the elves were incarnations of human souls. And this connection to the past was crucial for the Vikings, who honored their ancestors and the natural cycles of life and death. So very similar to the Day of the Dead, which
Mhm.
story
Yeah.
also pulls from that
Super
too. Or
similar.
yeah, a lot of connections with different traditions, which is cool. So what exactly did an Alphabet ceremony look like? So unlike some of the larger ceremonies, Alphabet was a intimate affair that was
Mm.
performed within individual homesteads. It also was the only ceremony that was almost completely ran by the women of the family, which was very cool. So, but these ceremonies were very exclusive. Only the locals were invited. Outsiders were kept at bay. They were even seen as unlucky. And the ceremonies themselves were very, very secret. So nobody really knows exactly what happened in
Mhm.
the actual homesteads, but it was a very personal and intimate ritual, and it was seen to be a
Gotcha.
direct communion with the spiritual world. So typically, the ceremony involved animal sacrifices. Although today, if the ceremony is performed in modern times, the offerings
Mhm.
are beer or mead, which I think is more fun.
That's more
That's
chill.
great. That's more chill. And also, if I was an ancestor, please do not kill this animal for me. Just give me some beer or something.
No.
That's way better. Yeah, I would
I
much
don't
rather
want to
have a
watch them
nice.
like split. Oh.
No. Yeah, you think this is what I wanted? No.
I
My
don't even
god.
eat meat. I don't want to watch you kill a little goat.
Yeah, the vegetarian ancestors are deeply offended.
Could you imagine if
Um,
I went back in time and was like, "No, I don't eat meat." I'd be like, "Which?" I'd be
which
like, "Oh."
they would be afraid. Yeah, they would be concerned and afraid
Yeah.
for you and maybe of you as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so the head of the homestead, so the man, known as the Olvir, would
Oliver.
initiate the ritual. They would consecrate the offering, and they would spill the blood of the animal onto the ground, symbolizing a connection to the earth and the
What
ancestors.
does consecrate mean?
Before, it means to declare. So once they declare the
Oh,
offering,
okay.
essentially, and they say, "This is the offering I'm declaring,"
Yeah.
and then they share the flesh, it says, with the congregation.
The flesh.
Which now, again, today you'd be sharing beer with the congregation, which sounds like a party. That sounds great.
Better.
So, an example of the sacrifice to the elves appears in the Cormac saga, the saga of Cormac the Skald. He was seeking healing for a battle wound and was told by a wise woman, "A hill there is," answered she, "not far away from here, where elves have their haunt. Now get you the bull that Cormac killed, and redden the outer side of the hill with its blood, and make a feast for the elves with its flesh. Then thou wilt be healed."
You have to read it like this. And make a feast for the elves with its flesh, then thou wilt be healed.
Honestly, that's how she probably said it.
That's
It's
pretty
how they
good.
talked back in the day, you know? Yeah, that was great. So, interestingly, around the same time, the Celts were celebrating Samhain, which shared similar themes of honoring ancestors and marking the transition into winter. In the Celtic tradition, this was seen as a time when the veil between the living and the dead was the thinnest, like you said, allowing spirits to roam freely. And so you can see how these traditions intertwined a little bit, which is very interesting that before these two cultures really had any interactions with each other, they still saw this time of the year as a time where the veil was thin and that barrier was blurry between the living and the dead. And you can even see it with the Hispanic cultures of Day of the Dead. Very interesting how that is universal. Makes you think.
Yeah.
Makes you think.
Maybe they're on something.
Maybe they're on something.
that many cultures thought that.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's a spooky time. It feels spooky, but like, why? You know? So as the centuries rolled on, elements of the Álfablót and Samhain blended and evolved. Much of the modern Halloween is attributed to the Celtic customs, like what you just went through. But there are significant influences from Viking lore as well.
Ooh.
For instance, motifs related to witches, werewolves, and ghosts can all be traced back to Norse mythology.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very interesting. So I will go through all of that.
All right.
So let's start with the witches. The Vikings believed in magic. After all, there were about 40 different words for magic and magic users in Norse
Was
language.
it like they believed in magic, but did they believe it was evil, or did they believe it was like good?
That's a great question. So it started as good. And then as Christianity began to creep its way, then it was seen as bad.
All right.
With a lot of pagan cultures, magic was seen as good. There were obviously bad forms of magic, but all magic was not seen as this evil thing, you know?
Gotcha.
For example, Freya, one of the most revered Norse goddesses, she was the goddess of magic. And she is sometimes referred to as a witch in ancient texts. And she's often depicted as traveling in a chariot pulled by black cats, which I think is very cool. So, yeah, so witches in Viking society, those are Viking witches, were taken seriously and often sought for guidance. Yet, as Christianity spread, the perception of witches shifted dramatically, turning from respected magic users into feared adversaries.
Oh.
Yeah. Just ruining everything. Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk about werewolves. This one is very cool. So the Vikings had a unique take on shape-shifting. Characters like Odin and Loki often transformed into animals, but one of the most terrifying forms was that of the werewolf. In the Volsunga saga, which is one of the legendary sagas, kind of similar to the Odyssey in Greek mythology, it's full of dragons, dwarves, witches, all kinds of fun stories. In that, you find tales of werewolves that delve into the darker sides of human nature and explore themes of rage and loss of control. So, in the saga, specifically, one of the stories is about a man named Sigmund and his son who are outlaws in the woods. And using enchanted wolf skins, the father and son become werewolves for 9 nights at a time. While they're enchanted, I don't know.
Oh.
You'll have to ask them. I don't know.
I think they're dead.
While they're enchanted, the son is so terrifying and powerful that he can kill 11 armed men at once. The transformation
effects. Twilight right now.
I mean, maybe they pulled from this. I don't know. Probably not.
No.
This transformation affects more than just their physical strength, though. In a fit of savage rage while in wolf form, the father rips his own son's throat out. And after realizing what he had done, he uses all of his willpower, magic, and healing skills, and a little bit of help from the gods to break out of his wolf trappings and heal his son before it's too late. And they learn their lesson, so they burn their wolf skins after that, and they do not go back to being werewolves.
Is this one of those stories with a meaning?
It is. I was just about to say that. Don't let the power make you lose control. There was also one other story that I saw about the werewolves related to Vikings. The Vikings had fearsome warriors known as berserkers, which I thought was
That's fun.
so fun, who embodied the qualities of wolves in battle. And these warriors struck fear into the hearts of their enemies, showcasing a rich tradition of the wolf as a symbol of power.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Cool.
scary. Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, ghosts and the undead. Um,
Ooh.
yes. So Norse beliefs about the afterlife were very complex and they have many different layers of existence for the dead. So the tales of the ghosts are all over the place in the sagas, where spirits might visit the living or haunt their burial mounds. The Draugr, which again, so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, is one of the malevolent undead beings. It's essentially a Viking zombie, and they would terrorize farms and embody bad luck and chaos. The undead being usually had been a bad man of some kind who died in a horrific way. And they were recognizable as the dead man, like as the actual person who was once living, but had grotesque features, bluing skin, and then eyes that could render humans immobile with fear.
Like Medusa.
Quote unquote. Yeah. Or like really any that you see coming towards you. I mean, that's going to
fight or flight,
make it
baby.
pause a little bit. Yeah. They had otherworldly strength and they could sometimes appear much larger than they had been when they were alive and were usually described as inexplicably heavy.
Oh, okay.
So, yes. These stories are just some of the stories from Norse mythology that contribute to a haunting atmosphere that we associate with Halloween. The Viking perspective on death and the afterlife echoes in a lot of our own modern traditions, as well as our modern horror stories. And again, kind of reminds us of the belief that the veil between the living and the dead during this time may not be as prominent as we think. So yeah,
cool.
That is that's the Viking Halloween, or at least how the Vikings may have inspired some of our Halloween tradition. Yeah. So lots of weird, spooky white people shit happening.
Yeah.
In both of our backgrounds.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, honestly, that's really what I learned from 23andMe was that I am the whitest bitch that's ever lived.
Yeah, probably same.
And I'm not saying that as a, good thing at all.
Not like a lot of culture.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure in English, that's like, sorry, but that's some of the worst food.
Yeah.
Food in England is.
Yeah.
Ireland was not bad, but it wasn't like the same.
Ireland is like hearty, like you'll get full, but is it the best cuisine that I've ever had? No. Also, when I traveled to Norway a couple years ago, the most beautiful place I've ever been to was Norway, hands down. Like the fjords, amazing. I don't think I'll ever see anything like that. Amazing. As far as like natural beauty, that place was hands down the best. Anytime that I travel somewhere, I try to do a food tour and I try to taste like what the food would have been like back in the day, I guess. And it's a lot of fish.
Yeah.
A lot of salted fish.
Wait, was that one the one where you had the fish soup?
Yep. And it was disgusting. I had a whole like 4-course meal that was just fish essentially, but like not good fish. It was like soggy salted fish and then dried salty fish and like fish in a soup. And then when they invaded Ireland in the UK, they were like, what are these? Talking about potatoes. And so they brought potatoes back and they were like, wow, something we can mix with our fish to make this not so horrible to live. And so what did they do? They mixed mashed potatoes, which are amazing and one of my favorite foods, just put fish in it, which is disgusting. And I tried it and I hated it. It was horrible.
I'm not. When I went to Austria, like we stayed at this hotel, and every morning they had the pickled herring. Or I don't even know if it was pickled, but it made the whole floor smell like fish.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
it's just
rough.
like I can't eat
Mhm.
fish like that.
But I will say they have since done a lot of work to repair that reputation because modern Norwegian food,
Is it good?
fantastic. So good. The
Interesting.
best smoked salmon I've ever had. So good. And they had these berries that were amazing. All the pastries there, so good.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah. So I mean, I was a glutton for punishment, and I like sought out what are the most disgusting foods that I can try. So
Yeah.
you can avoid that pretty easily if you go to Norway. Uh,
I don't
but
know
yeah,
what like the
beautiful
traditional
place.
food in America would be. Like I always think like when my
We don't
family like,
have any.
well,
Uh, I mean, our traditional food would be British
yeah, I
food.
guess you're right.
So, have you decided what your costume is going to be this year?
Yeah, I'm gonna be Harley Quinn.
Oh, yeah,
But
that's right.
like,
Yes. Have you figured out a conspiracy theory around it?
no.
Let's see. There has to be
There
a
probably is one.
conspiracy. I feel like there are so many conspiracies. Well, there's fan theories.
That works.
That works.
Harley has issues. Okay. I can do that.
Yeah. So for the people listening, so I already said my Halloween party this year is going to be conspiracy theory themed. And so the requirement is that everyone who shows up has to dress up as some form of conspiracy theory, either one that's well known or one that they make up. I don't really care as long as there's some thought put into it. And yeah, so
Mm.
I'm going to be dressed as the reptilian elite. And so I'm just going to be, I'm wearing a lizard bodysuit and I'm painting my face to look like a lizard. And then I'm wearing these knee high boots that are like snakeskin. I'm very excited.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Have you practiced the makeup beforehand?
No,
I think that you should.
I know I should. So I
Because
don't panic like I did the last time.
whenever it
Yeah.
was
No,
2
I know.
years ago.
I learned because I almost cried.
I remember.
Yeah. But it turned out good.
It it did. It turned
Yeah.
out great.
I got it there. I got it there.
You did, but there was a
I
moment.
honestly,
I was like
there was a moment.
I was
All
like,
of this was for nothing.
I'm gonna go in another room.
Yes, that was my freaky tiki party where I dressed up as a siren and I was trying to do mermaid makeup,
Yeah.
and it was not.
I
It
can't
turned
remember
out
what
good, but
you're trying to glue something on, and I was like, that's not gonna
I
fit.
was trying to glue down my eyebrows, and I don't know. It was
You were
nothing
trying
like
to
the
glue
YouTube
something
videos.
else though.
I
On
think I also had
fabric?
like little prosthetics.
There was something
Oh, I was
fabric.
trying to, yeah, my seashells. I was trying to,
Yes.
yeah, which they stayed on for one picture and then fell off.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
All I know is I was grabbing my boobs the entire party, trying to keep those shells
Mhm.
on. And then finally I was like, fuck this. I'm not, I'm
Yeah.
done. Everyone knows what I
Ursula!
am. We're done.
Ursula! You
Yeah.
didn't
So
get my reference. Ursula!
Ursula. Oh my God.
This
Oh,
girl at the party had a major crush on Emily and was
how could
chasing
she
her
not?
around the party. She was a mermaid, but she kept calling her Ursula. And finally, I had to pull her into a bathroom and lock the door, and we sat there forever because she was like
She was
relentless.
banging on the door.
She was literally like,
Yes.
yeah, she was
Yes.
really in love with
And
you,
she
but it was a lot. It
threw
was a lot.
Kenzie down the stairs.
Oh yeah,
Do you
she
remember
did.
that?
Yes,
Yeah.
to get to you.
Yeah. I
This
have
was
never been pursued like that before.
that was a real aggressive pursuit.
My God. Yeah, no,
And then
I was scared. I was
and then
scared
I
for my
ate
life.
bacon cake.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Somebody brought cake, and Caroline, being a vegetarian, thought it's cake. Surely
It
this
was
is
it doesn't
fine.
have. And then I was like eating it, and I was like, "These are the worst pecan pralines I've ever had." Later, she was like, "Did anyone try my bacon cake?" And I was like, "Bitch, what?" I was like, "I'm a fucking vegetarian."
So you were crying because of the non-vegetarian cake. I was crying because I was almost assaulted.
You were feared for your life.
There were tears, but it was a great, honestly, that was my favorite Halloween party.
We worked hard on those decorations.
We did. Yes. 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 Did you see the picture I sent you of the
I did a great job putting those things
You
up.
did a really good job. Yeah.
Like, that was
I did the TikTok trend at the time where you made clouds on your ceiling and put lights behind it to where it looked like it was a stormy night. And Caroline was the only one tall enough to reach it. So
I'm a short 6'3". I'm not 6'3". But I might as well be.
Yeah, I ripped the paint off of that entire ceiling. Yeah, but they never asked me for any money. So
anyway, happy Halloween. I look like Jigsaw.
Do you? I look like a child who who had a juice box and
a popsicle. Like a sherbet pop or something, and it just
It's fine. It's fine. I'm a messy eater, just like a vampire.
Okay. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow us on Instagram at livelaughflore_pod or TikTok. We will post, and by this time I should have a post on there, but right now I don't. TikTok is Live Laugh Lore Podcast. And yeah, if anyone has any suggestions of things they would like to hear or stories or just feedback, you cannot say anything mean, but you can always email us. The link is in our Instagram link tree.
Yay. Yes, please review us, but only if you enjoyed this. If you did not enjoy this, please don't listen. Just don't listen and don't watch. No one is making you do this.
Turn it off.
Turn it off. And you don't have to say shit about it. Please don't even.
Yeah.
No.
I'm fragile.
No. I'll find you. Anyways.
Anyway, thank you. We love you.
We love you so much. This is great.
Listeners at this point.
Hopefully you have more than 3.
There's 2 of us. So maybe 5.
Woo. There it is. There it is.
Whole hand.
Okay. Well, with that, happy Halloween. Be safe.
TTYL.
Make spooky choices. And we'll talk to you later.
Yay, bye.
Bye.